Domination.
Oh, look at that beautiful shot.
Whoa.
Look
at this.
Boys.
A little autofocus. Focus.
Probably because I was right in the way. Let's be real though, it's a webcam. That's about as focused as it gets.
Yep.
So, all right, everybody.
We're here.
We're live.
We are here. We are live. We're doing the thing, and it is the motherfucking Washington Capitals year. What is up, everybody? We are live here on the Picked Last podcast, exclusively at the moment on twitch.tv/PickedLastPod.
And YouTube.
Yes,
And
if you're
YouTube
watching
too.
this at a later date, you can find it over at youtube.com/PickedLastPod. I said exclusively because we do it like live. We are the
This is
premier Wednesday/Thursday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern sports show on Twitch.
You find us another one, and I'm calling my lawyers.
Because that... It's us, baby.
We patented it.
We coined that
Time slot.
being the sports show on Twitch.
We went to the podcasting front offices down on old One Podcast Drive, and we said, "Hey, this is our slot," and they're like, "No problem." So,
One
Hey,
podcast
listen,
drive.
you guys got it.
So there's like the High Council. It was like Chris Hardwick, Mark Maron,
Joe Rogan.
the girl who does Serial. You know, they all, like, you know, the crime podcast Serial.
No, is it good?
It's apparently very
I've
good.
been looking for a new podcast.
It's pretty
to
old.
listen to.
It's actually
Should
pretty
I
old.
listen?
Yeah, if you want. I mean,
Interesting.
check out Serial or the Pick Last podcast.
Or yeah.
Picked Last
Or
podcast.
like, it's obviously, if you're watching us now, what you should do is watch it again tomorrow
And again and again and again. And
until
the next time.
the next time, which I think would be a good time to announce.
No, go ahead.
We're having a little bit of a schedule change, and I believe now would be a good time to kind of
absolutely.
announce that.
No, stop right there. We'll come back to it later. Leave them on a
Now you have to wait.
No, it's okay.
So,
No.
basically, we're going to be, for the time being, moving to a bye week.
I was going to say.
Oh, you stuttered.
Well,
Your window of opportunity.
I apologize.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
So,
go ahead.
This is why things are happening.
Yeah.
So we're going to be moving to bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks we'll be coming out with a new stream and new episode. And, that's subject to change once, maybe a football season comes around where that's something that all of us could kind of talk about and it's more up to date. But right now, baseball's not really in the entertainment aspect for everybody. And also, hockey and basketball's coming to an end.
Yeah, that's basically what it comes down to is that, football hasn't really gotten into swing yet. Basketball and hockey are pretty much at the end here. And then it's only baseball. And I don't think we're trying to do a weekly only baseball podcast. So until things pick back up in the fall, basketball, hockey get going. And the NFL's in August, so I think about August we could probably start doing it. But we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So for the time being, it's going to be bi-weekly. Gives us, 2 weeks worth of news to kind of hit on and talk about. And it's a little less stress on everybody.
That's future Pick Last Pod's problems.
Not today's Pick Last
Pod. Not our problems.
Because today there are no problems because the Capitals at the moment are 3-0 in Game 7.
So they have 3. They're winning
in
3-0.
period 3. Yeah.
It's third period.
I got tongue tied.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be
it's
Caps
3-0.
and Knights, baby.
Yeah. Caps and Knights, baby.
Who called that?
Who called that?
I know I had the Knights.
I called the Caps.
I know I had the light. I know I had the Knights.
The Vegas Golden Lights.
Vegas Golden Lights, baby.
That would have been a cooler team name.
Yeah.
That's true.
The Golden Lights.
It's just a light bulb.
Yeah.
Is their logo?
Well, think about
like the Con Edison.
No, it's like apparently their intro theatrics are pretty hype. So it would just be like Thomas Edison going, "Oh, what does this do?" Click. Oh, light.
While spinning a roulette wheel. Oh, what does this do?
And then
secretly handicapping Nicholas Tesla on the back. Like, get away, Tesla.
Or the logo is that light bulb from Monopoly because they make so much money over in Vegas.
Oh,
Big
so
Vegas.
many theories. NHL, I feel like you missed an opportunity.
Unbelievable.
No one cares about how the owner's ex-military and they were the Black Knights or something, and then they're the Golden Knights. No, the Golden Lights. Because when you go to Vegas, you see the Golden Lights. I've never been to Vegas. I
believe
it's pretty close.
It's the
they're
bright
like
lights.
neon lights.
It's like
yeah,
the bright lights.
but usually lights are golden.
All right, here's the
That's
question of the
not
week.
true.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Whose lights are brighter, Vegas or New York's?
I would say Vegas.
I would say Vegas.
You think?
Yeah.
I would say Vegas unless it's not on September 11th. They got the 2 beams. They still do the 2 beams.
They didn't put the 2 beams. You really just make a 9/11 joke?
It's not a 9/11 joke.
It's 5 minutes into the
It's not a
podcast.
joke.
This is the guy
It's a
2
real
weeks,
thing.
2 weeks ago who sent us the whole sexual assault allegation
yeah.
in the middle
it
of
was
The
a
rape joke.
after
about-
20
It wasn't a
minutes
joke.
after we were talking about horse dicks.
It wasn't a joke. It
Wait,
was a
so
real
you
thing.
think you said on September 11th they put the 2 beams light up like night of? Is that what you just said to me?
They do.
No, they do. They put beams.
They
up.
two the two
like a
brightest
week long.
light bulbs.
Yeah, but the way you said it, it sounded
Spotlights.
like you said like the night it happened. They put the 2 lights up.
No.
Like, Jesus Christ.
No, I wasn't making. No, I was not making that joke.
let's
I was
try-
making of the joke of the memorial light beams. That if you look on Google,
I actually do have a joke, but I'm not going to say it.
you could say it.
No.
And that's what you should do on the show, and not make the 9/11 joke.
I didn't make a 9/11 joke. I made a
There
9/11
goes-
reference.
Anywhere this show goes now, whatever like future sponsorships we may attain, they're gonna find this episode and
See,
just hear Mikey's.
Your biggest
Mikey's
problem was
9/11
having me
joke.
on a podcast with you guys.
That was
All
our-
right.
sorry.
That was our biggest problem.
Sorry,
This is the after effect of let Mikey host.
Yeah. This is what happens
It
when you
wasn't
listen
a
to
joke.
grassroots movements.
Yeah.
This is why change.org never works.
One of those things where if it affected you, you could joke about it.
Weren't you the guy that got mad at me for making a 9/11 joke while gaming?
Well, because you actually made a joke about the actual tragedy that happened, not lights being shown.
All right, moving on.
Shined up in the
This is an
night
absolute
sky.
train wreck of a show already. We are off the rails. Brian is ready to just wring his hands around Mikey's neck. See, when Mikey wasn't here, me and Brian were doing bits about Jizzfinity Wars, the jizzness.
I can't believe I'm yearning for the days of the jizness.
I never thought I'd miss the jizzness.
I never thought I'd miss jizness so much.
I missed
The words coming out of my mouth.
I'm getting back into the jizzness.
Getting back in. Oh my god.
I'm sorry to tear up the Pelicans.
Jizfinity War Part 2.
Oh, and also to answer your question from last week, it's Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and then Belmont Stakes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
Belmont's last.
Yeah,
I could've
Belmont
told
is
you guys
last.
Because it's the highest stakes.
That's true.
Not
And
The stakes are raised.
Justify won in the Preakness, so he's
Yeah.
now going for a triple crown.
Yeah.
So if he wins, we'll have 2 triple crown winners in the past 2
I
years.
almost saw, what was it, American Pharaoh? I was there when American Pharaoh raced, but he lost. No, it wasn't Pharaoh. Who was it? It was another horse. I forgot who it was. I was there.
Steve Source.
Who was going for it, but lost
yeah, I
it.
know what you're talking about. BoJack Horseman.
One of my buddies, Steve, was at the horse race this past weekend.
Oh yeah.
And he got to see Post Malone play.
Mm.
And he said he was very subpar live. For some reason, Post Malone was playing the Preakness.
Well, see that I put it
They're
up.
trying
on
to
our,
make it hip.
Yeah.
I put it up on our Twitter, and if it's a Pick Less Pod, at Pick Less Pod on Twitter.
Yeah.
I said, all 3 races is just Bill's Mafia spring training games.
Yeah.
Because it's just a bunch of drunk white people doing dumb shit.
You're
dumb hats.
very right about that.
Yeah.
I went back in like 2012 or 2011. I think it was 2012 to Belmont Stakes for the big race, and the amount of dumb fucking hats that I saw that I just wanted to light on fire like while they're wearing it.
Yeah.
Like it's real annoying because it's right away. It's in your way. You're like knocking into something with your head, and they don't say sorry, but they expect you to say sorry for knocking into them. Like for the hat knocking into you, they expect you to apologize. I'm like, get off your high horse.
It's not working today.
Get it?
No, it's not working today. Your jokes are not working.
Did you get
today.
it? Did
Get
you
it?
get it?
Did you get it?
This is the price you pay. You can
What
never
are the-
forget. Never forget what you've done.
I will never forget, Brian.
All right, so
Sorry.
let's start the show. I guess 15 whatever minutes we're in right now.
Yes,
Let's
like
start the
6.
show the way we always start the show by talking about how your teams are doing. Bri, we'll start with you and make our way down. Bri, how are your teams?
Well, the Mets have won their last 4 of 6. They lost tonight against the Marlins, which is not great.
It's never a good feeling.
Never a good feeling, especially because we were winning. Jacob deGrom pitched another great game. Brandon Nimmo hit a fucking bomb of a home run. But Jarius Familia doing what he's familiar for. He blows a
Choking.
save. Yeah.
Blowing.
Yeah. All right. That's good. So and also basketball's still going. Both conference finals are now 2 games apiece, which is very exciting stuff because everyone thought it was just going to be like a wash for at least for Golden State and Houston.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Houston put up a good showing last night, and Cleveland did the work at home because Boston's terrible on the road. Mikey?
So the Yankees just lost tonight.
Cool.
They lost to Texas last night as well. But fun fact, for the first time ever, the Yankees have hit 3 home runs in their last 5 straight games, which is like, it's starting to really show just how powerful this team is. Gleyber Torres, my God, he is on fire. 88 at-bats, has 8 home runs. Like, 1 in every 10 at-bats, if my math is correct, is a home run.
It's close.
That is right. That's not close. That is 1 in every 11 at-bats. Sorry. Like, the guy's a monster right now. He's killing it. He's chopping a 320 average or 325 average, something like that. So he's doing real well. The Rangers just announced that David Quinn is going to be our head coach. He's most notably the head coach from Boston University, who is we've picked up a lot of players from them in the past, and he seems to be more of a developmental coach rather than like the hard ass that Tortorella was, and more of the like ready now kind of player coach that Alain Vigneault was. So I'm looking forward to that.
They're going for a rebuild.
They're
That's what
going
you're saying.
essentially, yes. But we're gonna see, and that's pretty much it. The only thing that I would like to say is DeMarcus Lawrence from the Cowboys had a great quote, and I'm just going to read it straight from this.
Hiring?
No. Sorry. He goes, so the headline is DeMarcus Lawrence on why he gladly accepted the franchise tag when so many consider it an insult. And the great quote of DeMarcus, because I'm not everybody else. I'm DeMarcus, and DeMarcus does what DeMarcus wants to do. And I'm like...
DeMarcus, his agent said, not now, buddy.
Essentially.
Take the tag.
But that's still just
take the tag before you end up like Des Bryant.
Yeah.
That's still just a wonderful quote. I think I'm going to start speaking in the third person like that.
What do you think about the news that Des Bryant is holding out for the Giants?
Seriously?
Yeah, you didn't hear that?
No.
They said he's hoping that the Giants need like wide receiver depth, or like a spot on the wide receiver.
Well,
roster.
if the Giants do sign him, it better be like close to the end of preseason.
It better be like a veteran minimum.
Yeah, for like
you know what I mean?
$5.
So here's the thing with Dez. I would kind of like to see Giant fans all of a sudden start rooting for him, especially because they spent so long complaining about him.
We'd be the team to bring him to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Probably not, but also, especially if they play Dallas. He's played with Dallas for so long. We know how to play defense against him.
No, you don't.
We do.
Well, also he knows your defense.
Yeah.
Well, that's also true. So it's a stalemate.
So basically, your point is fucking nothing.
See, the thing I love is that we've got Odell Beckham and we've got Sterling Shepard, and I think Des Bryant would be a real nice B+ player to just kind of
just get in there.
Yeah, he's
all right.
I don't know. I feel like
he's a nice little B+ player,
and that's why you don't deserve him. And that's why you don't deserve him.
To be honest, I don't want him.
No, I want to see him go to. I want to see him go to a team like the Rams or something like that.
I think he's gotten offers, but he's holding out.
He wants to play in the East.
Yeah.
He wants to play in the East, which is understandable. He doesn't. I could see him going to Philly if Philly decided they want. I'm saying if they decided they wanted a wide receiver, but they don't.
He'll be a Redskin.
Yeah.
Alex Smith, Des Bryant.
That's it. Like that's the only one that makes sense. The other one will give him.
But yeah. Also, breaking news: the Capitals have won.
Hey!
They won 4-0. The Capitals are going on to face the Golden Knights.
That's an empty net goal, though. Doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, I don't care. It's on the scoreboard. They will go on to face the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final.
That's going to be a brutal.
So Alex Ovechkin for going for his first title against a team that's in their first year going for their first title.
Yep. Which is weird because it'll also be the first time that the Capitals haven't lost to the Rangers or the Penguins.
Caps year, baby. Caps fucking year.
I'm pulling for the
Knights. Put a cap on this year.
Kind of like the Islanders did when they hired Lou Lamoriello.
What's his name?
Lamoriello?
I think it's Lamoriello. It might be Lamoriello. So for the remainder of this episode,
Lemieux.
We're gonna call him Lou.
Lou.
So the Islanders hired Lou, which is my first, which is the bigger of my team news this week.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say I'm very excited because both my teams, the Giants and the Islanders, are now going to kind of be like a brand new team this next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They both kind of had like wash seasons.
Kind
of like mirror like each other. Of both coming in and everyone saying at the beginning of the year how they're going to be playoff contenders. And, both real kind of disappointing. Really disappointing in what happened by the end of the year. So what I love is that Lou is very well known for, like, he's very, like, kind of like the Yankees, like, no facial hair, very clean cut. You gotta. And Cal Clutterbuck already shaved his mustache. Like, as the news broke, Clutterbuck's mustache was gone.
I don't like that. I'm really not a fan of that.
Oh, no?
As a Yankee fan?
Even as a Yankee fan. That's what the reason.
I don't mind it.
That's the reason why Brian Wilson, in the peak of his career, didn't sign with us because he would have to shave his beard, and it's like
because he never had a peak of his career. He's terrible.
He's a 2-time World Series champion.
Yeah, but did he personally win those World Series championships?
Yes, he did.
No,
Twice.
He got Nelson Cruz to fucking swing at a slider, which is like nothing.
Still counts.
Not really.
Oh.
So you're saying that like Madison Bumgarner, who put a fucking team on his back for like 4 starts, didn't do anything. Buster Posey, Hunter Pence.
I never said
Marco
that.
Scudero.
I never said that, but you need a dominant reliever to win.
He's not dominant.
He was.
He had 2 pitches.
But
And
he was dominant with
he
them.
was basic as fuck.
But he wasn't.
No, you just like him because you just had a hard on for his
That's
fucking beard.
but that's
Yeah,
not.
that's it.
But
That's
that's
the
not
only reason why you
but
know
that's
him.
not.
If he didn't have a beard, you wouldn't even give a shit about
No,
him.
that's not true because he was a big player in MLB 2K in the cover and
He was never the cover of
personality.
MLB 2K.
I also
Are you
really
thinking of Tim Lincecum? I think he was the cover of 2K.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking of. Well,
Yeah.
Brian Wilson.
No, I'm not. Brian Wilson was also on the cover of the 2K baseball game.
I'm gonna look it up.
Because they
Yeah,
had a
please.
whole thing about
See, now we got the laptop and we can look
All right,
this up.
look it up.
It's gonna take a minute because I'm doing
Multiple things.
yeah. Well, no, I'm booting up this laptop for the first time in forever, and my buddy who works at Geek Squad put
Shout out to Geek Squad.
he put his antivirus software in here, so it's basically getting a bunch of shit. Oh, look at that, Brian Wilson 2K covered, 0 results. He did a commercial.
Same
The
thing.
2K11 commercial.
Same thing.
Oh, you mean the baseball game that no longer exists?
This is true. But they were just a bad game.
The cover of that game was
It was
Holiday.
the Holiday,
Yeah.
yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah, right.
So sad.
You drugged up fuck. He had drugs.
Yeah, so Brian Wilson was never on that
Did that
cover.
come out?
Uh-huh.
That's unfortunate. That's real unfortunate. But thankfully, it was only him that died then.
Very excited for the Islanders getting a new GM. Gonna
Yep.
be like a new season. I think this has to be another like chip in the pile for Tavares to resign.
Yeah.
Now I think he's coming back.
It helps out that like there's a new
Rangers
power.
won him.
There's like a new like system in place. There's a new guy.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, well he's got a reputation and he's not a fucking douchebag like Garth Snow.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Tom LaFaso, resident Islander fan, is
Oh, he's very
fucking
happy.
flying.
The first thing he said, which in typical Tom thing, he's like, I need confirmation that Garth Snow
Yeah.
is not in control of this anymore. Like, please give that to me. And he got it. So, very excited for that. In other news, with the Giants, OTAs were this week, and I love like off-season football news because it's so unimportant.
And all speculation, too.
But I'm sure you've seen it with the Cowboys, and like the Giants' Twitter is just like Davis Webb goes deep to Roger Lewis for 50 yards, and it's like, all right,
Yeah.
like this literally doesn't matter
And like on the flip
at
side,
all for anything.
on the flip side, it's like Terrence Williams was apparently like arrested for public intoxication, but
That's how you get on the Cowboys.
yeah, but so
He's just
but like
cementing his spot.
yeah, but Jason Garrett said like people were like, oh, was that the like I can't believe that's the reason why he wasn't practicing with you guys, and Jason Garrett's like, no, he's still on the team, and he's like. He's still rehabbing his injury from last year. And that's why he wasn't at practice. Stop.
And
stop
also
with this.
being drunk in public.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That does not help you.
Also that. But yeah, so it's like, you see the little things where they're saying like, oh, in like X amount of passes, Saquon Barkley has yet to drop a ball, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, none of it makes any
Yeah, like,
means
it's-
anything.
he's not
until-
gonna get hit.
until
Nobody-
something
Nobody is going 100%
yeah, but
in OTAs.
none of the OTA stuff means anything until you get something like what happened in San Diego with Hunter Henry, and he like rips his ACL.
Yeah, and then
he's
it's
out
like,
for a whole
oh,
year.
fuck.
It's
Yeah.
like that's when you realize like, okay, this news is just fucking filler, but there is gonna be like
Exactly.
you don't want that filler to actually mean
Oh, of
anything.
course. I'm just saying, like, it's like there's literally nothing to talk about now that, like, that's what's constantly being talked about is, like, it's like, oh, this like, they're killing it. Everybody's catching passes. And it's like,
Of course,
okay.
everyone's
but
gonna
like,
catch a pass when no
all
one's
right.
guarding.
Giants looked great in OTAs last year. Like, it means nothing.
And but that's also like one thing that people need to kind of keep in their head is a lot of that stuff is basically just reporters taking the facts that they have and trying to twist it into something to get people to look at them.
You mean like Odell Beckham's entire career?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Amazing
that's
how,
everybody.
amazing how, like, once Odell was, like showed up to the first practice, nobody's talking about him being traded anymore.
Mhm.
Because it was all bullshit.
Everyone was talking about how he's like, oh, he's gonna hold out. He's gonna hold. Fucking shows up first day.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we're full
Yeah.
of shit.
Like, it's all bullshit because reporters just need something to talk about. And
Ed Werder made a career of it.
I always love, too, when it's, like, in preseason football, like those 4 weeks. There's always, like, those stories of this guy, like, wow, this guy's really going all out in preseason and, really going to be, like, crazy when the season starts. And then when the actual season starts and the starters take the field for the full game, like, no fucking matters.
Nobody.
You know what I mean? Like, no, very rarely does it carry over.
Victor Cruz was the only one.
Like, I remember For some reason, I always remember this one. Like 2 years ago, who was the guy in the 49ers who was like the rugby player?
It was was it
Don't look at me.
Well, whoever he was, he like that was the story. It was like this guy's a beast.
I know
he was
who-
like running people.
I know
over.
Yeah,
I know
and then
who
it was
it
like
is.
when the full season came, he like didn't even play.
Yeah.
Like, it was like
Yeah, and then
Whatever.
he'll line up against like J.J. Watt and fucking J.J. Watt turn his head.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like you got to realize that like some of these.
Jared Hine.
That's what it is.
Jared
And it's like
Hine.
some of these guys look sick in preseason, but they're also playing the backup defenses.
Yeah.
So it's like you're watching like the CFL, but they're wearing like NFL jerseys.
Yeah, but if you watch him in his rugby clips, like
I mean-
fucking unreal,
I mean,
man.
no, the clips he had in the NFL, he looked unreal. He was like,
Yeah.
like fucking trucking people.
Yeah.
There was
But, like-
there was a guy that I saw who was like who was like a track star,
Yeah.
like in his country, and an Australian rugby team picked him up. And he's the fucking fastest motherfucker. All they did, give him the ball, and that guy was off. And like nobody was able to catch him.
It's like how they always say how like if Odell wasn't like Odell was almost like a soccer player,
Right.
and
Yeah.
he ended up coming to the NFL.
Dogboy 503.
Yeah,
What's your
Dogboy.
question, bud?
Yeah, we got time. Absolutely, hit us with a question. But I don't know if you saw the clip this week of Odell doing batting practice in Tampa Bay.
Oh, he's a stud. This guy's
Yeah,
he's
I
an
mean,
athlete.
granted, it's a batting practice, like they're lobbing a ball in, but like he
Whatever.
crushed like 3 home runs.
Good for him.
It was like, oh, like this guy could play any sport. Like, you know what I mean? Which one pitches, which one catches, and which one films it all?
I film it all.
Yeah,
usually.
he films it all. Brian pitches because
I'm the oldest.
Just look at
yeah, he
Yeah.
has seniority,
Yeah.
so he gets to do that, and unfortunately, I'm catching.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
Shit
alright.
works like
that's what
that.
it is.
It's alright.
Yeah,
very
try
un-
again next time when you if hopefully.
Thanks
your-
for watching,
Yeah.
pal.
Hopefully your troll's a little better next time.
See,
Uh,
and also a lot of times we'll switch it up because Brian, also being the co-host of the Movie Mayhem podcast, he's a very good, like, catching eye when it comes to cinematography. So, sometimes he could film it and I could pitch, but sometimes I'm also really nice to Andrew and I let
I
him
think this
pitch.
guy's giving up because you made that joke unfunny.
he said appreciated it was fun.
Yeah.
Like
That was
that's
good,
the-
Yeah.
Turn it around.
Okay.
It's like when you make a joke and someone doesn't laugh and they go, "That was funny."
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't. You didn't laugh.
meant to do it.
But yeah. So, like, it's preseason bullshit,
Yeah.
and I love it and I hate it at the same time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It is what it is. But so what do you guys want to start on news this week?
What do you know?
Yeah, let's do it with
John.
Robinson Cano of the Seattle Mariners got recently busted for performance-enhancing drugs. Well, it was a
The
performance
mask.
a masker,
A masker.
but where there's a mask, there's obviously something behind it.
Yes.
So he copped to using the mask so that people will drop the investigation.
Mm-hmm. His reasoning was more so like the drug that he used, he was prescribed by a doctor for, what was it high blood pressure?
Yeah.
I think it was high blood pressure, and also it like helped with like his attitude or something like that.
Okay.
Like it was something like a personality type of thing that he had it with it. But so that was pretty much it, where it just came down to, it's whether you want to believe him or, he was using steroids.
He was using steroids. And then also his former teammate, Mark Teixeira, fucking threw him and Melky Cabrera under the bus.
I did not see that.
So he was on. He does a weekly spot on the Michael K. Show in New York.
Mhm.
I think it's every Thursday, and it's for an hour long. So Tex said, it doesn't shock him that Cano got busted with the PEDs because he used to hang out with guys like Melky Cabrera and A-Rod, and when you're in a group like that,
Yeah.
it's not a shock that you're also doing the same things they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oof.
what do you guys think of fucking Mark Teixeira just being,
I've always been a fan of him.
Mhm.
So on and off the field, I always thought that he was on the line of having an attitude, but also being a very classy player, if that makes sense. So he walked the line a lot, and I kind of appreciate that sometimes he'll speak the truth like that.
right?
But do you think that he did use PEDs?
Cano?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why would
Do you think he used it when he was on the Yankees?
Probably. I mean, there's something about Seattle and the Yankees
true.
that make you want to use steroids.
I feel like when you come from a team like the Yankees, where especially it's a home run hitter's park, and you get, you're in the height of your career, and then you go to someplace like Seattle where they're never gonna win. Like they're not really a great team. Pretty much ever since since Griffey retired.
That was a joke. I forgot who put it up on Twitter. It's like, I don't know if you brought it up or if someone at work brought it up. It's like, Cano's going to be suspended for 80 games and may not play in the playoffs. And they go, yeah, well, he also plays in Seattle.
Plays for Seattle. I said that in the group. In the group chat. Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, I could see him succumbing to doing that now. Like
that he's older?
That he's older and also wants to show that he's still got it. But I feel like he's been ever since he left the Yankees, like he hasn't really made that same name of him. You know what I mean? Like he had to live up to an expectation. And I feel he fell very, very flat once he left.
He signed a 10-year contract with Seattle, and he's never. I don't think he's hit over 30 home runs with them at all.
Yeah, which is like unfortunate because when he was on the Yankees, obviously, I was a fan because he was a home run hitter, he was a very good second baseman, but then the fact that he kind of fell off and stopped producing for Seattle, obviously sucks. But then to use PEDs to kind of like make up for it, I'm not really, I can't be on board with that.
Never mind. He's actually not really fallen off at all. He's had 1 year, his first year in Seattle, he had only 14 home runs. But every year after that, he's had 20 plus. So, I mean.
So it's just that he plays in Seattle.
It's just that he plays in Seattle. The news coverage on him is less. So, yeah. Who knows? I mean.
Who would think that would happen when you leave New York and go play for Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I had another point, but I kind of forgot it.
Oh,
I'm trying to remember it.
Bring that up?
But with Cano going, that means they opened the door for a guy like Gleyber Torres. So maybe the Yankees benefited at the end anyway.
Which another one of those fucking speculation things. But I saw another thing on the subreddit where somebody posted an article saying like the Yankees finally found their heir to Derek Jeter with like Torres, and it's just like
Torres or Torres.
I hear it both ways. I don't know.
Roland Torres, the backup, and then there's Gleyber Torres, the guy who plays second base.
Torres is who sorry, I apologize.
It's not even my team.
No, I know. And it's the one thing where their names...
You know what we got to do to get another DQuam out of them? We got to go find some old, like, Robinson Cano tweet from, like, when he left the team, and he's like, the Yankees will regret the day that...
Yeah, right? We'll never have a second baseman.
I don't know if I did. I
guarantee I could probably find something. Like, damn it, we let go of Cano. What a mistake.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, I
don't really remember.
Andrew, you have anything to add to the steroid debate?
Not really.
All right.
Juice is bad, kids.
Oh, yeah, so, sorry, that's what I was thinking.
Steroids are bad.
Well, yes, I'm very against steroids. For, like, whether it be, like, an athlete or, whatever it might come down to. But
so even, like, people in the real world using, like just a regular person using steroids?
Even if it was like
even if it helps, takes care of their cancer? Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. When it comes to building muscle mass, that's when I find it, a little bit of a problem. But if it's something medical, like I've been watching House a lot lately.
Yeah, like
use steroids and it works.
Like that time that in wrestling when William Regal was going to get that giant push, and they found like steroids in his system, but it was like a medical thing, and he was like, I told you guys about this, and they were like, nah, you're taking steroids, and then he just didn't get that push.
but like
it sounded like somebody had some regret on pushing Steven Regal, and they're like,
but so like this is what I want to talk to mostly Brian about, because I know you're not really a baseball guy, but when it comes down to it, I hear a lot of people talk about like, when you bring up baseball, I'm like, oh, I love watching baseball. It's like the most entertaining sport for me. And everybody's like, nah, I miss, back when, Sosa and McGuire around and hitting home runs all the time. And like I'm saying, like, Absolutely not, because now I feel like we're at a golden age of baseball.
We're at a more athletic age of baseball.
Yeah, where it's like we have like golden like humans that are like so good at what they do in such a pure way that, you know, I think now it's more entertaining to see a guy like Trout, you know, play, or see a guy like you know, Harper or Judge or whoever you want to like throw in there, like, you know, Syndergaard too, like even pitching, and you have Kershaw, like all these people who are pure baseball players. Like, I think now is the best time to be watching baseball, and nobody really follows it as much because there's not the race to who could hit 65 home runs, you know, like between, you know, Sosa, McGuire, or Bonds, or hitting 72, you know, like.
How old were you during that the home run chase?
I was
99.
99, so I was 9, 10, like I was 8, 9, 10 range, like within.
You were born in 92.
Oh, because it was multiple years. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the main one.
Oh, the main one? Yeah, I was 9.
Was Sosa?
I think I was 9.
So 99, you were 9.
Or
you were 7.
I was 7. Sorry.
Okay. I was older. So that summer with Sosa, McGuire, Griffey, and Bonds all going for it was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Because there's something different every night. And when those guys kind of rolled into town, like when McGuire came to Citi Field and Sosa came to Citi Field, like it was an appointment to get there.
Shea
Stadium. Shea Stadium. I'm sorry.
Baseball guy.
I'm sorry. The years I spent working at Citi Field and correcting people
corrupted you.
Yeah, it kind of changed my mind. But like, yeah, going to Shea Stadium, getting like a shitty seat, and trying to see these games, like, cause I was like a teenager, so I was able to go to games with friends and their parents and stuff like that. So you would go, like, I went to a doubleheader where the Cardinals came into town and Mark McGuire knocked 2 home runs, and the place like blew the fuck up. Like, Shea Stadium only cheered for Mark McGuire.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, it was exciting because you're literally watching history. What the great thing about like those 4 guys, like the McGuire, Sosa, Griffey, and Bonds, is only Griffey was clean.
That's what I was saying. Like, I saw Griffey play, and it was one of the greatest baseball moments of my life. Like, even then, I knew how special it was to watch that. You know,
but like, he also got hurt, so he never got a chance to really be anything like these guys. But he's in the Hall of Fame, so good for him.
Absolutely. It was you and I who we had the same opinion, where like we felt that Griffey should have been the only person to get 100% of the votes to go into the Hall of Fame. I think it was you.
I think he was one. He's one of the guys. I think
he missed like 2 votes, like 2 or 3 votes. But like if he's the one I would have been happy if he was the one person in all of baseball history to get 100% votes into the Hall of Fame.
I would love to see who's gonna like stop Derek Jeter from getting 100%. It's like, I don't think he belongs.
That's so
I don't
weird
know about
too.
That Jeter fella.
Because I know
he's got 4 World Series rings. 3,000 hits.
He hands down deserves it, but I also feel like there's gonna be that one snarky guy w's just like, Ray
Ordonez was better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He should have been playing second base his whole career.
He should have moved to third.
I was just about to make that joke.
A-Rod should have played shortstop.
Derek Jeter should have been a left fielder.
That's his fault, not the coach.
Joe Torre didn't know what he was doing.
Fuck. Yeah, so, you know, so, sorry, you didn't really finish your point of whether or not, like, do you think now is a more entertaining time?
I think, now is... It's a tougher time for people to get into it, but if you're into baseball, you're experiencing the greatness of it. I think it's teetering on a point of being really popular, but they don't know how to market guys. To be like, check this guy out, check that guy out. Like, they're not like football where it's like, Odell Beckham could do 1 catch and that's how he's known for his whole career. Like, no offense to him, but like, It was in a Madden game, like that whole fucking one-handed catch business. But like, and then they go like, well, let's fucking run that. Let's have all these commercials and all that shit. Like, it's easier to market guys in football, but I think it's harder to market guys in baseball because of the length of the season.
Yeah.
And it's because they also can't like go to like talk shows weekly. Like you can't be like, oh, here's so and so on Fallon tonight, even though their team's in fucking like L.A. and they got to come out to New York for this. It's tough, and what I think it could change. Baseball really should have fucking went after football to one of probably our next topic, especially after this whole kneeling thing divided the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they should have really kind of pounced on it, because you could like lean on some certain guys to kind of get you through. But also there's a diversity in baseball that's fantastic. Like you could also like you have your Trout, you have your Judge, you have like your American players. Like Team America won the World Baseball Classic, and no one knew about it.
No,
like you had to like stay up and watch that game. Like why don't you say that? Like in the Olympics of baseball, we won, and but they never marketed it properly, and it's kind of sucks.
Yeah. And it's also the same thing where like whether it be a commercial on Fox or whether it be if you go to Buffalo Wild Wings, I feel like with football you'll always see pictures of Odell Beckham, but also you'll see Dak Prescott and you'll see Julio Jones or whatever.
If there's a Dak Prescott at a Buffalo Wild Wings by me, you will not see me there.
No, but they have like all the major players of all the big teams.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And like all in one promotional thing. And I feel like baseball, you never really see that. You'll never see, at the time, like you would have never seen David Wright and Derek Jeter used in the same promotional thing. With like David Ortiz too, or like like you would never see any of that like cross teams. Even though they're the biggest players, you would never use that to market like, oh, come watch baseball at this place on a Tuesday night or something like that, like happy hour. Like I feel like that's another thing. If we shorten the season down, I think that would be good, because it would be more of a thing to make sure you watch it. And
that's the weird thing, is that football could really capitalize on like Sunday, go all out, go get wings, go do this, because football's on Sunday. Whereas baseball, it's like, well, it's Tuesday night, let's go to the bar and have some drinks. It's Thursday night, let's go to the bar and have some drinks and watch the game.
It's Friday night. It's Saturday night.
It's Monday at 1 o'clock.
A 5-game homestand. Jesus Christ.
Baseball promotes alcoholism.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta go drink 6 nights this week to go watch baseball?
The Yankees have one day off where they travel.
See, I'm a Mets fan, so I'm drinking anyway.
No,
By the way, did you see that god-awful first pitch by Pat Shermer?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Real bad.
Look, I'm not paying him to pitch. I'm paying him to coach.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if Saquon Barkley throws a bad ball when he throws out the pitch for the Yankees...
You wouldn't stop hearing about it on the NFL subreddit.
They're going to be like Saquon Barkley holding out at OTAs because he threw a bad first pitch.
All right, next topic? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, do you guys want to go to the main one, or did you have something else? Any other news this week?
Well, do you want to talk about the whole NFL rule change, especially with the play, with the anthem?
I almost forgot about that. Yeah, you do that. I wanted to look up those new kickoff rules.
Okay.
So I can get those.
So yeah, there's been a whole bunch of new rules, and one of the ones that has stuck out is the anthem rules, and the NFL kind of caught a lot of static from the fucking president and some other fucking people because players were kneeling, not to disrespect the flag, but to shine a light on police brutality in the African American community. And people took that message and spun it to something else, which then it got misconstrued, so everyone thought it was disrespecting the flag, the military, the law enforcement, and all that, but it was only just to, the message was about police brutality. Unfortunately, you can't rely on third-party words, something like that. But I guess we're gonna say, like, where did you stand on the protest last year? Were you for it or were you against it?
I mean, it's one of those things where, as like, I don't care either way, like in the sense of, if a player wants to kneel, he has the right to kneel. The same people who are crying, not crying, but like, outrage, saying like, oh, you're just respecting the people who are fighting for this country. The people who are fighting for this country are also fighting for the right for that player to say, oh, hey, no, like, you don't want to stand? All right, that's no problem. I'm fighting for your right to do that.
Mm-hmm. I may not like what you're saying, but I defend to the death your right to say it.
100%. And but it's also one of those things where I also could see the other side of, like, some GMs on a business level think, all right, this
It will be the owners mostly.
the owners.
Yeah.
Sorry. So like the owners on a business level will say, hey, this doesn't look good for our team. Whether it does or doesn't, that's not up to me. But if that's what the owner thinks, then it's the owner's call. And as extreme as it is to say, oh, hey, no, like you can't do this at all. It's also like you also signed to play with that team. Right. You know, like, so whatever that team makes the rules, as much as you disagree with them, you have to follow it. You know, like.
So if the team had a rule in place, you follow that rule. But
Yes.
the teams didn't have rules in place, and that's where they got caught with their pants down.
Exactly.
Is that the NFL? It wasn't until recently before players were standing for the anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were all kind of just doing their own thing.
Who was like the first one that did it? Was it just like a random player, like nobody big?
Kaepernick.
No.
I think it was somebody
standing
before.
for the anthem or kneeling for the
Kneeling
anthem?
for the anthem. Sorry.
Well, Marshawn Lynch always sat for the anthem. Kaepernick is one of the biggest ones.
Well,
that,
Kaepernick,
he is the biggest
Kaepernick
one.
used to sit.
right.
And
then he spoke with
was a Marine?
The Green Beret.
Yeah, who asked him to kneel instead of sit.
Yeah.
I forgot
Mm-hmm.
why. I forgot
Because kneeling shows a sign of unity with your unit, with the group, like with your unit of soldiers, is that you kneel for the respect of the brother you lost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the idea of what he did. But then somebody, not gonna fucking name him, but he's the president of the United States, took that because he had shitty fucking numbers, like approval numbers, and just spun it so that he could incite people to, because people took that as like they didn't understand why he was doing it.
Mhm.
So hearing it from the president, I'm like, this is why I think they're doing it. And if it was, because you guys are good Americans, you're patriots, you're all that. Look at this guy kneeling. He's not American. He's not a patriot.
Yeah.
You're better than he is, and now express yourself in a way that these
Mm-hmm.
businesses, these NFL businesses, because let's not forget, Donald Trump has tried multiple times to get an NFL franchise.
Uh-huh.
He tried to buy the Buffalo Bills. He tried to. He also sank the fucking UFL, which there's a documentary on Netflix. It's 30 for 30. You should check it out. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He's wanted to break into that league, but none of the old school owners wanted him in there because they think he's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of, I feel it's like more of those like personal things. So it was a personal attack at like a weak point of the NFL. Like, because
Exactly.
if the NFL was just rolling along, because that's the thing, the NFL is this like $billion industry, and they're rolling along, and here it comes.
Isn't there some weird thing in the rule where it's like the home team decides? Like it was like the home team has the like whatever their rules are, and like you can stay in the back.
Yeah.
You can't kneel, but you can stay in the back. But like it's at the discretion of the home team. I didn't get that. I don't understand what that was saying.
Now the rule is you have to stand for the anthem, or if you would like to, you could stay in the back until the anthem is over.
Yeah.
And then the NFL Players Union is they were not told of this.
Yeah.
So now they're like, well, we're gonna review it and we're gonna let you fuckers
let you know about it.
Yeah. And the NFL's
It's
Players
like when
Union.
your boss tells you you're fired, and the union's like, we're gonna
We're gonna put that under review.
But that's one of those things where the players are usually like so close knit and stuff like that, where all they need is one person to be like, I'm staying in the back, and then everybody's gonna stay in the back, and then you're gonna have an empty sideline.
Well, that's what you had. You had that during the first 2 weeks, where it's like you had teams like you had teams taking knee, you had players taking a knee, and then Donald Trump called them sons of bitches.
Yeah,
and then everyone's like, you're gonna call me a son of a bitch, even though I'm with my teammates, because they're trying to, they picked a topic that's special to them.
Yeah.
I'll show you, and everyone fucking took a knee.
Yeah. They kind of did it like out of spite to him. Like he made it worse.
He did. He made it worse on both sides. He put two sides that really were trying to get basically the same thing. It's the respect of the respect of the flag. It's the respect of the people and the respect of the message, and that it got muddied because of what happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Exactly.
I really like.
No. I stand with that. I think it's their right. If they want to kneel, they should be allowed to kneel. Yeah. Well,
You deal with that.
I
I gotta go.
That's it, everybody. Have a good night.
Show's over.
But no, it's like, in this country, you have the freedom of speech.
Right.
And as athletes who are able to have a voice and have a platform to give that voice, I think they're not doing anything wrong.
Exactly.
And
I had an argument with a relative of mine.
Yeah.
I said something to the effect of, I may not understand like the life that these players are going through or anything like that, but I will respect and I will honor their right to kneel at the flag. And my relative kind of shot back at me with some what's the word I want to look for?
Alt-right.
No, I wouldn't say that. It's just that he was on the other side of the argument.
Yeah.
So I expressed like, look, I find it wrong if people are trying to oppress people's First Amendment rights.
Yeah.
And if people want to stand up for themselves, I'm 100% for it. I don't believe in backing down because someone says no.
Exactly.
That's not the America I believe in.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to agree with what they agree with.
No, just.
But they have the right to say it. It's like, what was that famous phrase where it's like, I may not agree with what you're saying, but I'll defend
my right,
my right
defend
to say
it.
Yeah.
I'll defend it to the right. Yeah.
It has nothing. It doesn't have to do with a political agenda. It has to do with it's their platform to do what they want to do.
It's also kind of like in the same sense of like I had back when the election happened. It was like the night of where it was like official that Trump was elected. I had a post on Facebook where because I saw a whole bunch of because I went to a very diverse school, so I had like one diverse group of people attacking the others, and like the others also attacking the other. I'm like, look, you're all on Facebook together. Like, obviously you were friends at some point. Yeah. The person on that side isn't gonna like do shit to you. Like, we're all cool. Yeah. Like, I think
I think it's another argument for another day, though. Yeah. I don't want to get super political. I want to keep it with the kneeling and.
But that's what I'm saying is like I was gonna wrap it up. It was like it's essentially this like don't be a dick. Like let people do what they want to do as long as it's not causing harm or anything. Stay in your fucking lane.
It's like my old argument with the whole like when people put up photos of abused dogs. It's like if you don't like this, you're an asshole. It's like why would you be friends with somebody who doesn't like that? Like, who doesn't who's all for abusing dogs? Like you're kind of reaching to the same.
I just get mad at the people that show you how meat's made, and I'm like, well, it still looks good to me,
Yeah. It's like it's fine if you don't want to do it.
Yeah, like I don't care what anybody does as long as you're not endangering somebody else.
Delicious.
Yeah, like
meat.
Just don't be a dick. Like.
All right.
That's
on a more lighthearted note, so
kickoffs.
The new kickoff is extremely interesting to me.
Okay.
They're making a lot of changes, and it's going to make preseason real fun.
Ooh.
Because here are some of the things. The players cannot move past the restraining line until the ball hits the ground or is touched. It used to be when it was kicked.
Just get rid of kickoffs.
Wait, what?
Listen, that's a weird one to start with. They listed it in a weird order.
Start at the 20 and just go for it.
I don't know. No, I think it's still 20. Players must have. It's now 5 on both sides. I think it used to be 4 on each side of the kicker. Right. It's now 5 on both sides. There is no more running start. There's a line, and you have to wait at the line. 5 guys each.
That's just so dumb.
And then once the ball hits the ground or is touched, I guess they start running then. Also, there's no more wedge tackles. So, like, if you were coming in between me and Mikey, like, one guy, can take it.
Yeah, dog boy. Coming in between.
So, it's going to make preseason a whole lot of fun.
Mm.
No, it's not.
No.
I don't know how it's going to work, and I don't think any of the players really understand how it's going to work.
Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Just fucking put the ball on 20, and that's the game.
Or just go full on fucking Vince McMahon. Put the
I
ball
was
at the
just
50
about to say,
and run.
And then just run.
Yeah.
Or I was going to say, just let them fucking play with a kickoff. Like,
I mean, even in Madden now, if you do like your My Pro or whatever the fuck it is, there's very rare you can see a guy make a return.
Yeah.
Unless you're the guy doing the return.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no return. Like, just have him punt. Fuck it. Who gives a shit?
Wait, so if there's a bad kick, right, and they kick it to the 10-yard line, right? So now if, say you have somebody super fast.
Is that a bad kick on the 10-yard line?
Well, yeah.
I think it's a pretty good kick.
No.
Yeah.
If they're
If
stuck
you
on
kick
the
off,
10.
No. If you kick off and the ball lands at the 10
Oh, I
yard
guess so.
line,
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
would prefer it in the end
So
zone. Yeah.
you have not only do you have the 10 yards, but you essentially have to get like
Yeah, they don't like the kicking team.
The
doesn't
kicking
really
team
have,
doesn't
like,
have
momentum.
any momentum.
Yeah.
That makes
But then-
zero sense.
It does, but at the same time, once they start approaching them, they're literally there's 5 and 5. It's like a wall. Of
Does the
people.
receiving
like, you need to
team-
get past that wall of people?
Does the-
Like it's interesting.
Does the receiving team also have to sit and wait until the ball's touched?
It's like basically like I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's horrible.
I'm not sure. Those are the rules that are listed.
No,
So
but
dumb.
but now, Mal, think of it like this. All right, picture you're playing Madden. The ball's kicked in the air. All the receiving team blockers, right, take 10 yards. Right, they take 10 yards.
I see it.
Dude, all they have to do is just run full speed, and the other team is at a zero momentum. They have a 10-yard
There
head
has
start
to be-
of running full speed.
There has to be something we're missing.
I don't know how. Just think about it. If the other
just
team's not able to move,
Get rid of the kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it.
yes,
They're trying. It's like they're trying to do this to like breathe new life into it, and it's really like
Just get rid of it.
it's on
there's
its
gonna be
last leg.
so many people
There's
injured.
there's no more specialists. There's no, like it's
No.
like just get rid of it. Like there's gonna be that one guy. Like you're gonna miss that one guy on the offensive side of the kickoff who's like leaning on a fucking sideline just trying to grab the ball so it starts on the 40.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you're gonna miss now.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the kickoff.
I agree.
It's no one gives a shit about it. It's not even cinematic anymore.
No.
Just get rid of
Do
it.
you think that teams should have the option of, like, in baseball with the 4-pitch
It's
walk?
a ceremonial first kick. That's all it is.
Well, do
Yeah.
you think that teams will like? Do you think it would be good for teams to be able to do, like, how in baseball you could do the 4-pitch walk, and then it's just a walk?
Well, now it's
do you,
just go.
Do you think it's like, all right, give them the ball and then they take it at the 30 or the 25?
Yeah.
Like, instead of just
Well,
wasting the time.
they now stop the 4-pitch walk. It's now just one ball over on the outside.
Oh, I thought that they could just hold up 4 fingers.
No, well, they have to go 4, and then throw one ball, and the guy gets the base.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't.
Yeah, that started this year, maybe last year.
Oh no, I think they took that away now
No,
because
it's still there.
I saw it the other day.
No, they don't intend. Like you just throw one pitch and then go.
See, I feel like me and Mikey. I mean, you might have experienced it because you're a little older, but me and Mikey, I feel like, are in this age where it's like the games are going through like extreme rule changes from the games we knew as kids.
Right.
I don't know if that's new for you or if you've had that a little bit already.
Well, I mean,
It's not
when I
your
started
generation.
watching as a kid,
Yeah.
when I was
like baseball, like because I mostly watched baseball as a kid.
well,
and-
you gotta think when I first started watching sports, AstroTurf was just green painted cement.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a lot different now.
So yeah. So, but like you've experienced some like
I've
changes
some
already.
wild fucking
Yeah.
changes.
Meanwhile, like for us, I feel like this is the first kind of wave of like the way baseball is a clock now,
Yeah.
and this 4-pitch thing, and all these new NFL rules. Like we're like, what happened? Like,
I remember getting weirded out by the instant replay changes in baseball. Like,
I remember.
you know what I
'cause
mean?
I didn't
Like,
watch a lick of
'cause
baseball.
that was something new.
I didn't
you
watch a
know?
lick of baseball last year, and I went to a Mets Dodgers game, and I was like, what the fuck is this clock?
Yeah, the
And it was like,
pitch
oh
clock.
yeah, they added that. It speeds up the game. I'm like, what?
I
There's a
was at the
clock in
game.
baseball.
There was a
Only
point
for
in
mound
a Mets
visits.
season where they go like, enough is enough. This game is taking too long.
Yeah.
And I was at that game. It was a Daisuke Matsuzaka pitching for the Mets, and he took a minute in between every pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. It's not always mound visits. It's in between pitches.
In between
Yeah,
pitches,
you have
yeah,
like
yeah.
a certain.
Yeah, you have like 20 seconds to get ready.
So I guess main
Main
topic
topic,
time. All right, so I kind of proposed this idea for a main topic, and the basis of it is to give you more of an insight of like how we kind of got into sports and how we
Politics.
kind of got here. What?
Politics.
Yeah,
Lots of
politics and kneeling for anthems.
Baseball growing up.
So basically,
Dollar Tree.
I kind of want to just
100%.
discuss with you guys like the moments where you realized like you're a sports fan. Like, what are the moments that got you into your favorite sports? What are the moments that made you realize like you're invested in this? Like, or just fond memories you have that like you look back on like that's probably what got me into like baseball.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Do you guys have any you could think of right away, or do you want me to go?
Right. You want
Give
me
me
to
a
go?
minute. It's gonna take me
Okay.
a while.
Yeah.
All right, so
I've got a long history.
with me, I actually just kind of spoke about it today. I was at the dinner for a birthday.
Whose birthday?
My sister.
Happy birthday, my cousin.
Happy birthday,
Yeah.
not my cousin.
So
Weddings
so-
by Leanne on Etsy. Check that shit out.
Yes, Weddings by Leanne. So essentially, growing up, I was born a lefty. Like, I was born a full-fledged lefty. And my dad,
Explains a lot.
when I would write or when I would do something with my left hand,
Your dad would beat
my dad would, no, he would always switch my hand to make me a righty. And it wasn't until, and now I'm a righty with, some things, but it wasn't until I was a little bit older when my dad told me that it was because he wanted me to play the middle infield in baseball. And, you can if you're a lefty. I mean, realistically, you can if you're a righty, if you're a lefty. So, he wanted me to play shortstop, but then over the years, I kind of migrated over to third base, which I'm very thankful for because that's my favorite position to play.
Hot corner.
At the hot corner. So I have things like that where playing baseball was always something that I kind of grew up with. I remember hitting my first home run over a fence, in travel baseball. And it wasn't just hit it to the next field over. It was there was actually a fence, so it was nice hitting my first home run there. And even flashback to 2 years ago where I hit my first home run over a softball fence.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I feel like a little kid again. I rounded the base going like this. I was I'm so fucking happy because it's such a joyous moment, and I feel people downplay it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've hit home runs constantly.
Not to brag.
Not to brag, but I in softball, home runs are just hit the ball far enough, but to actually have a marker where it's all right, you don't need to outrun somebody getting it. Was also nice.
And that connection.
Yeah. So I think of that. I think of you and my dad coaching my my baseball team when I was younger.
Bad year for me.
Yeah, I know. I remember being 7 and watching the Yankees win in '98 and then '99. I remember the Subway Series vividly.
I actually just remembered a horrifying thing that happened to me while playing baseball once, but I'll talk about it.
Okay.
Later.
Yeah.
It just hit me. I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
I just remembered something.
I mean, one thing when it came to baseball that always stands out in my mind was when I was in high school. I had gotten hurt with my arm, and I wasn't allowed to play. My coach at the time was like, "Look, we're not going to play you, with your arm like this." He's like, "You could switch to a different sport." So I switched to bowling, and that's when I started bowling in high school. But
What sport did you switch to?
bowling. I was playing
You went
baseball.
from baseball to
I was playing baseball, hurt my arm
No, but I don't
pitching.
get it. You said you switched to a sport, and then you named something that's not a sport.
Oh, good one.
Got him.
So literally 2 weeks after that happened, Brian was looking for a sub for the fast pitch
Oh God.
First Hooligans team.
Yeah.
So it was the second year of the Hooligans.
He had an ace in the hole.
It's like, hey,
Mikey.
my 15-year-old cousin can play.
I was 15 and it was in a 21 and up league or something like that.
It was a summer league.
It was a summer league, fast pitch league. I was 15, and I remember showing up, and at the time I had my long skater hair, but I also only wore ski caps.
Yeah.
I stopped wearing baseball hats. So I showed up wearing a ski hat, and everybody had something to say about it. Of course, fucking Flanagan, Flanagan, and he's fucking trying to rag on me and shit like that.
It was 98 degrees.
Yeah,
and
it was
this
hot.
motherfucker was wearing a knit cap.
Yeah, with shorts,
With long hair.
with shorts and high knee socks, and then the hooligan jersey. And I remember the one thing that stood out was one of my first plays was I had to reach over the fence on the third base line, and I caught a ball, a foul ball, and I was and then people were yeah, clapping, and I was like, oh, I missed this, I miss playing for a team. And then then we moved into softball, and that still one of my favorite points in my life was playing softball with you and all of our friends, and I really do miss that.
It's the lowest point of my life.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
But so baseball was always the big thing, and I was always a Yankee fan. I would follow hockey and I would follow football, but it was always Yankees because you know, it lasted so much longer. You know, and then as I was older, I, you know, got into actually following the Cowboys, actually following the Rangers.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm just at the point where, you know, I still bowl every once in a while, but golf is a sport that I've taken up as of like the last 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, sinking my first eagle was like one of the happiest moments when it came to sports for me. It was like, because it's something that's so hard if you're not like a professional.
Yeah.
You know, and like it just happened that I had a really good drive that went like on a par 5. I had a drive that was like 320 yards, and then I had to get like 170 yards to the green, and I landed it like 8 feet from the hole. And then like as I'm up there, I'm like, all right, well, the best I could do is birdie. Like the worst I could do is birdie because all I have to do is get close to the hole, and then I can sink in the birdie. But I actually made the putt, and I was just like, I was with my dad and my 2 uncles, and they all like high-fived me and like kind of cheered, and I was like,
yeah.
And it's like,
I think Mikey just likes applause.
Yeah.
That's
the moral of the story, man.
Look at my life. Everybody makes fun of me. I like for people to appreciate me once in a while. My bad.
Jesus, it's getting dark on the podcast. My God.
Surprise.
Get a little self-esteem, guy.
So yeah, that's about it for me. And I know I spoke for a while, so I apologize.
It's good. For me, I mean, I guess when I was little, I was kind of like you, where I was like a baseball guy as a kid. As long as I can remember, I was playing.
I always wanted to be a gangster.
Actually, I could break out some gold real quick on the podcast.
Oh no!
My mom used to work at an ad agency.
So she.
And she had this bad boy made.
Oh no!
Let's show this real quick on the podcast.
This is our
just
logo.
Me sliding in the home plate as a boy with Goofy.
Obviously, Yankee Stadium, though.
Why have we been?
I don't know. Goofy's in more Mets colors, though.
Why?
He's in pinstripes.
Well, these obviously were Cincinnati Red, so he's a Met.
Yeah.
That's obviously what's happening right
Look
now.
at Donald throwing
just
the
fucking
heat, though.
Gas out of Donald. Nothing but.
So that's some gold that I will always have. But weirdly enough, and I guess this is kind of like very relatable, is that I more so got into sports through video games. Because I was always, like, as a kid, some of my earliest, like, gaming memories... That's fine, you could just...
He's taking a picture.
Yeah, I'm going to put it up on the Twitter anyway.
So. I would always kind of be, like, playing, like, Madden on my N64, baseball on my N64. Even on Sega, I used to play, like, fucking, like, Tony La Russa baseball. Like... World Series baseball.
Tony La Russa baseball. It's like, if you can't hit for average, take steroids.
And I was like, it's 5. Like, what? So, like, I always kind of, like, honestly, I learned most of, like, the rules of every sport through video games. As weird as it is. And, you know, I played in Little League all throughout. Some of my most fond memories of playing Little League were in, early middle school. I would say like 6th, 7th grade, because it was really when I like kind of came into my own. Like, I was like the kid who started. I was always batting like 7th or 8th, and I was like the outfielder, just kind of like picking daisies. And then, you know, I really started getting into it, and I went on like a real hot streak hitting. And I remember, because our Little League, all the teams were major league teams. We were the Marlins, and we were playing the Yankees.
I was both.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We were
playing,
I was
the Rangers.
We were playing the Yankees on like one of our Saturday games, and Coach randomly put me like second in the lineup, and he was like, "You've been swinging a hot bat. Like, I want to see you in this position, see what you could do."
Statistics
and
say.
I was nervous because we were facing like the best pitcher in the league, and
were they on the Tigers? It's always the Tigers.
No, it was the Yankees.
Oh, the Yankees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was throwing heat that day, and I hit off of him second. I think I got the first hit of the day. Like, the first guy struck out. And we started like a real hot streak where they actually took him out of the game.
Nice.
And I always had like that sense of pride about that. Like,
do you mean a hot streak or do you mean a rally?
Well, I mean,
I feel like a rally is more at like the end of like a last resort kind of thing.
They got to him. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I know. I think a hot streak, I think of winning. Like, you won 5 games in a row. That's a hot streak.
For me, a rally is like when you're down in the 9th and your guys like start hitting and you're coming back. Like,
no, with baseball,
that's when you put your rally caps on. You know what I mean? At baseball, it could be at any point.
FYI.
FYI.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Baseball could be at any point.
Mm-hmm. Do you want applause for coming up with that one too?
Good. You want me to?
Yeah, right. Never enjoyed the rally cap look. Was never a good look.
No.
But now football is weird for me because I was a diehard Madden guy as a kid. I always remember me and my dad would play Madden together. Like he'd come home from work late, like at night, and like he'd pick up like the newest Madden game, and he'd come home and we would like sit and play, and it was always like such a cool moment. And I remember as a kid, he actually took me to Jets games. You got something to add?
I have a funny story about video
okay.
games.
Andrew
Video
set through
games,
your
I'm
story
sorry.
without.
No, I'm sorry.
Like chortling.
I'm laughing at a memory that I totally forgot about. The same way that
like
you.
something funny about my dad playing
No.
Madden.
I'm laughing about stealing your thunder.
Yeah.
No, I have a funny video game sports story. I'd say.
So
Go ahead.
I like distinctly remember my dad always taking me to Jet games, and I think he knows someone who got Jets tickets, so we always went to those. And like I always remember we went to a Vikings game, like a Jets Vikings game, and I would always have my binoculars in like the back rows, and I remember seeing like Randy Moss, and I would just watch Randy Moss like run his routes with my binoculars up in the nosebleeds.
I'm so old.
And
Brian's like, I remember when he debuted.
I was a casual football guy.
Mm.
I was never really like invested in the Jets. Like I just went to the games and I have like cool memories. My dad was like New York. My dad he's more of a Giants fan, but he was always like whichever New York team I like them both.
Right.
And that's kind of where I stand. You know what I mean? I kind of got my football love through my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember what made me a Giants fan first, because there's two, was I think it was the first Super Bowl.
Okay. 2008.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't 11. It was 2008, and I was like not really watching football, but I remember like the Super Bowl was on, and I kind of was like watching it with my dad, and I remember like when they won at the end, like both of us like jumping up with like joy, and it was like one of the coolest moments I've had sharing with my dad. You know what I mean? Was like that moment of joy where like Giants won the Super Bowl.
I low-key thought you were going to be like, and then the David Tyree catch happened, and I blew up. I was like, that's so fucking fake.
No. Because, I was like very like whatever football watcher. I remember like we would play Sunday football, and I remember we'd go to your house afterwards, and like the games would be on, and I was like, the season is still fucking going. Yeah, I was like, I don't care. Like I just want to play video games with my friends. I don't want to watch football. And then I started working at the airport in 2013. And I worked with a lot of like older people, and I was like 21 at the time, and I was like, I just kind of play video games and I watch wrestling, and I can't really talk to any of these people about anything. And as someone with like horrible social anxiety, like I didn't know what the fuck to talk to these people with. I couldn't relate to them on anything. And they'd always in like the terminal have like the games on, and everybody was kind of like watching the games and they'd talk. I ended up not really knowing anything about football, joining their fantasy football league that year, just because I was like, all right, this will be something where I can like have something to talk to all the guys about at work and get into it. So I started watching the Giants more, and I had Victor Cruz on my team, and that was the year he went down with the injury in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, I got to get this guy off my team. I guess I'll take the guy who's his backup. Odell Beckham Jr., I guess is the guy. Didn't, not knowing who the fuck he was. Nobody did. And then, like, having him on my fantasy team and, like, when the catch happened.
Right.
The catch, which is, like, I know we talk about it so much, blah, blah, blah. That is the moment where I said, holy shit, I love football. It was like this miracle moment of I picked up this no-name in fantasy to back up Victor Cruz, like to replace him on my fantasy team, and like liking the Giants but not being emotionally invested. And then that catch happened, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And with fantasy, that ended up being a steal for me that year.
Right.
But it was more so like that moment where I was like, "Holy shit," And that to me is like that's why I was so passionate about like. Where Odell goes, I'm a fan. You know what I mean? Like if the Giants do him dirty like that,
right.
I will be an Odell fan. You know what I mean? Because that's what got me into football.
That's why I like DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me that like he was because that's like the first year I started watching was when he was so dominant and with you guys, and he's kind of like just faded. I mean, he was great with the Titans, but you don't hear about it because it's the Titans.
Yeah.
He had a really good year with them. I think his first year there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah. All right.
and with the Eagles,
Go
it was
on
like the
about
Chip Kelly years, and it was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the Islanders, I guess I could quickly add. It's a very brief thing. I went to see the Giants versus Rams game this year, which was the worst game in franchise history. We lost like 50-10 or something. And I left that game so demoralized. I wanted to just fucking like open the door in Tom's car and like roll out. And we were doing a double that day where I went with him to the Islanders game, and I was like, I don't give a fuck about the Islanders. I don't want to be at this game. I just watched my team get fucking steamrolled. And then the Islanders won like a close game that night. And I was so emotionally invested in it, just from being like, come on, like I need to, it was being in that section with the Blue and Orange Army, learning the songs with them, like seeing the team pull it out, and we were all like cheering and high-fiving all these fucking people I didn't know. And that's the point. I was like, I think I like hockey. Like, I was like, I think I like it. And I gave Mikey so much shit. And
I was going to say, I like, when you first started following hockey, I was so angry.
Yeah.
Because, like,
I would shit on it so much.
Because at a certain point, like, I came to Andrew's house where he, like, came up to football, and he had a bumper sticker that said, "Make hockey violent again."
Yeah.
And I was saying,
have it.
he still has it. So I'm like, dude, like, you should really watch hockey. Like, it's a really good sport. And you're like, nah, hockey's bullshit. It's fucking dumb, fucking stupid. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then he's like trying to talk shit, trying to get under my skin about it. Yeah. I'm like, whatever. I'm not gonna fucking listen to this anymore.
My plan worked because I tried to get under his skin.
But then what got under my skin was
the Rangers, and he got so fucking mad. I'm like, you guys suck.
But like, what got under my skin was he goes to one fucking game with LaFaso, and all of a sudden, fucking Islanders. He's putting Snapchats of him singing the song, and I'm like, you don't even have anything invested in this team. What are you doing?
Yes, I do. I'm invested in this team.
Fires all start with a spark somewhere.
Exactly.
So.
So that's all for me.
Do you want to say a little video game story?
Yeah,
so my mom's best friend who lives in Florida, we would go to her house, and her husband at the time was like kind of big into video games, but he was into like the airplane simulators and stuff, but he would play MVP baseball. And as a gamer, you know when like you're like doing something and you kind of move with like what you're doing? This guy, every single time a pitch would come and he would swing, he jumped in his seat like this. And it was the funniest thing in the world because I'd be sitting there watching TV, and in the corner of my eye, you would just see him be like, huh! And like swing, and then like it's a strike. And then like he's like, all right, sits back a little bit, then comes back, strike, huh! Like a single.
From streaming, I learned that when I do that a lot in Rocket League.
Right, yeah, where you're kind of like turning with it.
And I always have like, I'm like I stick my tongue out a little bit, like.
Playing Counter-Strike, I focus all that on my hand, and that's like the hardest thing because I'll go for a shot and then like my hand jerks. I'm like, fuck, I didn't want that.
All right, Brian.
So Brian, go ahead.
Okay. You have the floor.
I have the floor now.
You have the floor.
So when I was a kid, like everything was a lot different when I was a kid compared to like when you guys started watching shit.
Green cement.
Right?
Yeah, all right.
Green cement nose. Yeah, so like, no, I remember.
I still play like that in Brooklyn.
My first ever time going to a Mets game, it was my entire dad's side of the family. That's what I'm saying. It's different than when like you guys are like growing up to now, because there's never been like this huge group going. Like there was like 5 grandkids, like 7 adults plus my grandmother. So like we all went up to the upper deck, and it was crazy. I think it was a June game in like the early maybe late 80s, early 90s, but like there was all of us there, and that was my first game, and I still remember it. But like that didn't get me to like baseball until a certain like maybe a couple years later. My first football game, my mom's friend got tickets for a Skybox.
Okay.
So she got like everyone got tickets. So it was like, and so we all went to the football.
Big shot for your first football game.
Exactly. It was a preseason game against the Miami Dolphins. Phil Simms versus Dan Marino.
Let's go.
Right?
Wow.
So, exactly.
You got to see Dan Marino play.
I got to see Dan Marino play and Phil Simms play.
Was Chester there?
Probably.
We're so young.
So we went, and like I was sitting there with the game, and my dad's like, "Do you like this?" I'm like, "You goddamn right I like this." He's like, "Well, I have tickets." I'm like, I automatically, as a
I
kid,
could do this more.
it's like I can come back. He's like, I could come back here and watch games. He's like, yeah, like if you want to do that. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, fuck it. Oh, as a kid, fuck yeah. No, as a kid, so I was like,
Fuck yeah, heck yeah, Dad.
it's like, yeah, like I would totally love to do this more often. He's like, okay, we'll go later in the season. I'm like, great, that's great. So I went, and he waited for the coldest day of the year. And where our tickets were, they weren't skybox seats. They were regular. Well, they were 30 rows away from the. Mike, you were with. They were 30 rows away from the end zone. They're good seats when you're older and can enjoy it. Yeah. But when you're like 7 years old and don't understand why you have to wear 2 pairs of jeans and like 5 pairs of socks, you're kind of just sitting there, freezing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Like, I go. And so he purposely picked the coldest game to like make sure that like I was into it.
You knew what you were.
I knew what I was getting into.
Smart guy.
So I was like, okay, like, and as we're coming home, like, he goes, "Did you like?" And they lost, of course, because they sucked back then. He's like, "Did you like the game?" I was like, "Well, no."
Which I'm sure he wanted them to lose.
Yeah. It's like, I'm like, "No, I didn't like the game." He's like, "Well, why not?" It's like, "Well, A, they lost. Like, that's the bummer."
Yeah.
And B, it's like, I couldn't see. I'm so small, so tiny. But then I was like, but it wasn't like a thing of like I was making an excuse of why I didn't want to come back, like why I didn't want to go back. It was more of like, I want to come back because I want to see more wins. Like, that's why I didn't like the game, is because they lost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
And then
made him happy. He
yeah, he's like
to hear that.
super psyched. I can't wait to fucking drop these tickets on you in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And so I had the tickets up until after the 2008 Super Bowl.
Okay.
And then they built the new stadium, put the PSLs out there, priced everyone out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
I'm not a big hockey guy. I've been to games. It never really clicked with me. I've never been like, ooh, I gotta go. Like, I like the vibe or whatever. It's been more of the whole like, well, that was a fun day. That was a great way to kill like an hour.
Yeah.
And
you might like come into like one of the Islander games.
Maybe.
Because like when it's like the community and you're up there and like they're all doing that, you kind of get really into it. And you drink and
you go crazy.
Yeah.
I went to I've always been a casual basketball fan. I went to one Knick game like 3 years ago, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Too much money. Can't do it ever again.
That's like the one sport I've never been to a game for.
It's
I've been to 2, and each time I've gotten lucky. Like, the first was on a field trip. I went to a net game,
nice.
And it was back when they were in Jersey, and we were all the way up in 300s, and it was actually, I got to see them when they broke the record for the most losses,
nice.
like in a row. Or it was like they were 0-17 or something like that. So they let the entire class go down to the front, like the front 2 rows,
because no one was there.
Yeah. and then the last time I went to a game was back in December. I think it was December. I went to Mavericks game when I went to Dallas, and it was everything was paid for. All the food that I wanted was paid for, and the seats were paid for. And again, we were like 7 rows up from the court, and then we got to move over to like center court, and it was like fucking. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, even if you're not like, because it's a fucking live sport. You're seeing professionals.
The one thing that would be fun about going to see basketball was if like you paid mad. I feel like if I was gonna go to one game, I'd pay mad money to be by the court, because then it's like there's no barrier. Right. Like most other sports.
Yeah.
Where, like, the ball could fucking fly at you, or, like, LeBron James could, like, dive on you. Just like, oh, shit.
But it's actually kind of weird going to a live game because they have mics all on the court. So you could hear amplified versions of the foot squeaking. Yeah. And it's, like, really, really weird because you also hear when the ball hits the backboard and you could hear the swishes. And, like, I think they do that so, like, I don't even know why they do it.
Basketball.
Yeah.
But in hockey, they don't.
When I picture basketball in my head, I hear those sneakers.
Yeah. That was a really.
It's like in Rocket League when they had a basketball and like when your car drifts, it makes like the sneaker noise.
Oh, okay.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But the reason I got into baseball is I played it as a little kid and I was never good. Never good.
I feel like baseball, if you don't get in as a little kid,
you're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
So I got in because
hockey was like that too.
Like yeah.
Try not to pay attention.
So I couldn't put my shit together at all playing baseball. Like I was like uncoordinated. I was fucking terrible.
Mhm.
The only thing that kept me in it was my mom, and then at one point, I got to play second base, and I was like, okay, like, and then like I ended the game, like I caught a pop up. I was like, this is like the greatest moment of my little life right now. And then from there on, it's like, all right, like I know I wasn't good, but I could strive to be better other ways. Like I could learn how to do other things in baseball. So I never was like, well, I only get comfortable playing second base. It's like, no, I'll bounce around. Like, let me play outfield, let me play infield, let me catch, let me pitch, let me do this. So I never got like held down in one spot.
Yeah.
And then as I like got to like high school age, I started kind of putting things together because my neighbor was a baseball coach. So he's like, oh, you're there. You just change your hands, do that. Like he gave me a list of things to do, and when I did it, I was like, oh, that's how it's done.
Yeah, like
and then
clicked.
And then I was like, okay, like yeah, and still with my like ability to kind of play everywhere, I was like, okay. And then I made all the high school each level of the high school teams, but I would never like be a starter. And so I was just like sit by the coach and like kind of like learn the game further. Cause like, well, maybe I'll be maybe my calling's not playing, maybe it's coaching. And then when I got out of high school and realized that I wasn't going to be in the major leagues. When I started putting together my own teams, it's like then like the whole entire like the game study, like all like this tiny things and all like the play, like the small plays that you don't even notice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where it's like I kind of like that's what I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
And that's why like baseball's always like my favorite sport. And like I could tell like watching the games, like I can tell if a guy's out of position. I can tell if
you were very like when I picked up softball with you guys, like you were like super helpful with getting me back.
Yeah,
because I hadn't played in so long.
But that's the thing, and I'm gonna like kind of interrupt for like 1 second.
What?
Yeah,
interrupt
sorry.
again.
I apologize. But
he never does.
Yeah, no, I know, very rarely. But like I'm in all sincerity, and I know you're not really like all for like that emotional shit, but when it comes down to it, you were. For a very big part of my life, a big inspiration for me when it came to baseball, because you kind of passed all your knowledge down to me, even when I wasn't playing on your team and when I was still playing travel ball, because like you always were giving me tips on how to be better than everybody else, and for a long time, like I was up until I got hurt and stuff like that. But like even then, like when we started playing softball together, like my biggest like fondest memories of softball was just like me and you driving around after the game at like from the game would end at 10 o'clock and me and you would be driving around until 2 o'clock in the morning. We'd go to Cherry Valley, get sandwiches, and like we would just talk about softball.
That was the pre-sponsored days.
Yeah, pre-sponsored days. So like you would just sit and you would tell me how to better myself, tell me how to interact better with the team so the team could take my advice and stuff like that. And that was like one of the biggest waking up calls was like, you're like, look, you can be an asshole. Like, stop that. Stop talking down to people and start actually giving like actual advice. And then you were like, take what I did to you and do it to other people. And I was like, you know what? You're 100% right.
I think I told you to stop speaking contradiction. Stop like masking your criticism as advice and just start giving advice.
Yeah.
Because he would just, before he, like, grew up, and I still had, like, knockout, drag-out, like, arguments with him on certain things. Yeah. And it would be, because he would go up to guys who were, like, maybe slumping or not doing it, and he's like, it's like, you're fine, except you're really bad at this. And I'm like, that's not giving advice. It's just like, I'm a little shit, and I'm doing better than you. Yeah, like, no offense. And a lot of guys were really not taking to it.
Yeah. Because it was also weird because, I was like just just started on the team kind of, like I was only like 2 years on the team and I was a lot younger than everybody else. Yeah. And for people to be, when Brian was like, 23, 24, and then having a 17-year-old kid be like, no, you got to do this. Like, this is how you,
Right.
Like, how don't you know this? You're older than me. Like, because I thought that everybody played baseball like I did. But a lot of those guys didn't play as often. Like, there were only a handful of us that all played.
And as like a 21 to 25-year-old,
you don't want to
hear
listen from a 17-year-old
kid.
Yeah,
show you up. Yeah, and it is.
Yeah.
And like.
And that's why like me and Accardi got into so many arguments.
You got into arguments with everybody on the team, and if I wasn't
not everybody.
If I wasn't there,
there were a lot of people I respected on that team.
Look, let's not forget my era of playing with you guys. when I had that one game when I had to work like 6 a.m. or something, and I show up to that game and I was just missed every fucking fly ball, and they were like, "Let's just keep hitting it to that kid. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing." And then you guys came over in the bench and was like, "Listen, I don't know what the fuck. Let me just."
I wasn't a terrible coach.
But like, you know, that was another thing that, you know, kind of happened with me was, you know, I always played the infield.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, I was an infielder for us. And then, like, one game, we just had a game where the outfield was just not doing well. And I was like, Bri, I'm playing left center field. Like, I'm going into the outfield. And you're like, all right, like, whatever. And I just remember being in left center field and seeing a guy fucking pull a ball. Like, and it was a deep fence. Mm-hmm. And you just see me running from left center field all the way to, like, the left field line. And I caught the ball behind the left fielder. And I'm like, fuck. Because I knew right then you were just like, you're our outfielder now. And, like, I was like, no, because all I wanted to do. And then, you know, I started playing in Staten Island. I started playing softball in Staten Island. And I played outfield. And it was like, ever since that moment, I never got to play the infield again. Because it was just like, I'm better utilized as an outfielder. Because in softball, outfield's where all the balls are hit, you know? But,
not to brag.
I'm not trying to brag, but it's fact,
like,
all right?
There was
Marla one said, look for the Browns to win the Super Bowl in 18.
I'm on that bandwagon, dude. Is that Marla or Marie? No, that's Marla.
Yeah, it's
all
Marla.
Right. Marla.
Did you hear that they tried trading for Nick Foles, and Foles didn't want to? He was like, I'd rather stay in Philly.
Well, he just won a Super Bowl. But
would it have been a first-round pick again?
Nick Foles is not paying for any meals in Philadelphia. I don't think he wants to go to Cleveland.
So, Marla, if you go back to like our first few episodes, I'm on record saying that I want them to win a Super Bowl, and I expect them to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you also thought they would have Saquon Barkley to help them win that Super Bowl.
Oh my God, stop. It made no sense to take Baker Mayfield.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
Both their picks were like analytics based. Like all their picks were very analytics based and bold moves. So he had to have seen something that no one else did.
Yeah.
All right.
But also I did want to say, so like this is my like formal thank you for doing all that when I was younger and kind of putting me on that right path.
Moments.
And I'm being heartfart, like genuine right now. Like I really do appreciate it because you brought me to.
I also. No. I also put you in the outfield so that I could get the cutoff to third base correctly.
Yeah, then that was another thing. Nobody knew how to do that, and like
I did.
Do you remember that time? Remember that time I went to third base and I fucking killed it?
Yeah.
They put that guy with a gun in the outfield, and he was just fucking slinging it, and I was like, every time, and I was.
Do you remember our biggest argument?
All right, I'm gonna walk over there while you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's.
It's the third baseman taking the cutoff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now we finally know who's right.
Oh, let's before we wrap up, we should do housekeeping and do that before I walk over.
Plug it up.
So, as always, you guys can find this over on YouTube. For previous listening, youtube.com/PickLastPod. If you're listening on YouTube, we do the show live on Twitch, twitch.tv/PickLastPod. Same thing on Twitter @PickLastPod.
And remember, we're going to bi-weekly schedule, so we won't be back next week. We'll be back the week after.
In 2 weeks, yes.
Yep.
Whether it'll be Wednesday or Thursday, we will post on the Twitter. We're gonna, it fluctuates. Bri, where can the people find you?
You can find me over at Movie Mayhem Pod. We have new episodes every Sunday until I say otherwise. We just did Deadpool 2 with Lex, which was a lot of fun.
Very good episode. Very good episode. A lot of spoilers.
Waiting to see it before I listen.
A lot of spoilers.
Yeah.
She fucking
9 minutes.
She couldn't hold back. She broke the record.
She broke it at 8:40, and Brian's like, "All right, I'll wait 20 seconds for 9 minutes, and then I'll fucking do the alarm."
It was a fun episode. So if you've seen Deadpool 2, please go and check it. It's on iTunes, Podbean, Cast Crunch. No, sorry, Cast Crunch is dead. Podknife and Podable.
Podknife. That sounds hard.
Is it actually any place where you get an RSS feed for a podcast? Like I use Pocket Cast, and I was able to pick it up, and every episode I listen to.
Do you do that trim silence?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
yes, I do.
Best.
It's real nice.
It just automatically trims like dead air.
Oh, so
you just burn
zip.
Yeah.
And it tells you how much time you've saved.
Oh, okay.
Listening. Yeah, it's real cool.
I was gonna say, have you noticed they updated it and like the bar that
I
plays
just started
it,
using it.
the bar that plays the podcast, it's the color of the Outmark. Like I was listening to one of the Kind of Funnies and it was like blue, and for Games Daily it's green. I was like, I really enjoy that. It's a really nice like aesthetic.
That's really cool.
Mikey, where can the people find you?
DQuats on Twitter, MDQuat on Instagram, and also T Factors on Etsy.
T Factors.
Get us a shirt.
Get
or a
us
fucking
a shirt.
logo.
I will.
Or a fucking logo.
I'll get you a shirt.
Yeah, didn't say logo.
I don't. Go ahead.
And you can find me over at Parks X Core.
You've been muted this whole time.
Oh my god. You can see the bar. The Parks X Core. Parks X Core. You fucked me up. Parks X Core over on Twitter. Twitch.tv/Bullhammer. I've been very irregular with my streaming schedule lately, but E3 weekend, Top Drawer Gaming reunion. It's happening. We're making it happen. Whether Mikey's here or not. I don't know.
Not much of a
we'll figure it
reunion.
out.
I'll be here if Luke's here.
If you're not here, it's the OG Top Drawer Gaming reunion of me and Brian.
Yeah, where's Tom?
Not me.
Tom?
Yeah, he was originally a top drawer.
Yeah.
And John.
Oh yeah, John's flying.
Yeah, so what are you doing now, bud?
John's flying down from Florida to help us out. So yeah, that's twitch.tv/Bullhammer. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
You should
we'll be back
follow
in 2
us.
weeks.
2
Follow
weeks.
us.
We'll be back.
Make sure you hit that bell on YouTube.
And you know what I'm gonna hit?
We're gonna hit the mute
2
button.
weeks.
This bell.